Welcome to the Rocket Roof Show, where we equip fellow roofers to do more commercial business every first and third Thursday of the month. It's time to launch your business to the next level.
This is Project Command. Stand by at power transfer.
3, 2, 1. Blast off!
Hey, welcome to another edition of the Rocket Roof Show. Andy Neer, your host here with Empire Roofing Contractor, straight out of Michigan. So I got here today a guest that, very special guest that I've been wanting to bring on for quite a while. He happens to actually be the producer of this very show here, but he's always behind the scenes. His name's Jonathan Keim. He owns a couple different companies, but the company that I work most closely with him is Top Roof Marketing. And, I know many of you guys, they probably tuning out right now because you hear the word marketing, but, whether you like it or you hate it or you love it, we all have to use marketing at some point to make our business grow. And so I've been working closely with Jonathan the last few years. Before Jonathan, I never really worked with any kind of marketer. The only marketing I did was basically the newspaper and yard signs and, stuff on the side of my truck. So even though that's a segment of marketing, I would say that that's playing, Little League. So thank you for being with me, Jonathan.
Not a problem. I've been looking forward to this as well.
So today what we're going to talk about is SEO. I know that there's a lot of different kinds of marketing out there that we could be doing, but with the COVID going on the last few months, SEO is definitely, flexed its muscles in the last couple of months because there's a lot of other things we can't do. There's not a lot of face-to-face, there's no door knocking. And so a lot of guys are they're bolstering up their SEO, and the people that are winning are the ones that already knew how to play the SEO game. But that doesn't mean that everybody else is down for the count, right? We can still, do some SEO. Am I wrong?
No, you're spot on. I think what you're referring to, just to get the audience up to speed, it takes a while. It's not like Google pay-per-click where you flip on a light switch, you just pay-per-click and bam, you're there at the top of the ad section. You have to earn your way to the top. Yep.
So without further ado, I'm going to start off with the most obvious question, and bear with me, guys, if this is dumbed down, but there's a lot of guys that don't even know what SEO is or what it stands for. So could you explain what SEO is, what the acronym stand for, and just like a second grader version of what it does?
For sure. So SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization. And for most people, it simply means getting to the top of Google. Google controls most of the market share. And it's because they're very, very good at putting the best content at the top. So to be successful with SEO, or in other words, getting to the top of Google, or top of Bing, top of Yahoo, any search engine, you have to be favored. And so what you're really doing when you're doing SEO is finding ways to convince the different search engine algorithms that you're the best choice for what that person is looking for.
Yep. So what that means is you could have some $20 million a year roofing giant that's like, hey, we got an extra $100,000 to throw on SEO. That doesn't necessarily mean they earned the number one spot on the first page, right?
That's right. Yeah, actually, it'd be very dangerous to put that much gas on the fire. That's how I normally term it. I mean, yep. You do need to have some fuel to, propel your way up to the top. But if you do too big of a splash, you'll actually get blacklisted. And, I'm going to keep it from going too technical. But at the end of the day, just keep in mind, you want everything to be as natural as possible.
Yep. So let me ask you this question. How important is it to be on page 1 versus 2 or 3 or 4?
So when we're talking about local businesses, it's super important. Almost no one goes to page 2. Now, if you're researching something, then the statistic of about 8% going to page 2 or beyond comes into play. But if you're just looking for someone to call, you're not going to get to page 2 unless for some reason you don't like all the different roofing companies that are first showing up, or maybe none of them like you, and you're looking to scam someone else.
Yep. Okay. Well, what other things help SEO? Because I think sometimes we put it in our own little basket and think, okay, we're we're going to spend $1,000 or $2,000 a month on, or maybe more on this SEO. But we think we're just going to put it out there on itself. But what other things could hurt that or bolster that SEO? Is there other things that we're doing on the internet that edify that or hurt it?
Yeah, so let's start with the edifying part. The best thing someone can do to help our company or a different SEO company or someone that's trying to help you rank higher is to keep your Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever channels your website links to, and it links back to your website. That's a type of affirmation to the search engines that you're relevant, you're up to date. In today's day and age, if you don't have a post in the last 2 years and your website hasn't been updated in 5, all your information's not credible. So they're not going to put you at the top simply because they don't even know if you're still in business, if you still provide the services that you're providing. So a big part of that is staying fresh. As far as hurting your SEO, there's a lot of ways of doing that. Probably the most common is getting started with the wrong foundation, using a templated site, particularly if you're on Wix or if you're using a WordPress theme that's been used 100,000 times. You definitely want to keep an eye out on that. You also want to be careful on who you hire. If you're hiring someone that called you and you know that they're just going through a list, keep in mind they got to go through probably 100 to 200 people to get one yes. And most of that money you're spending is to pay their salary to keep calling the next 100 people.
Yeah.
And because that leaves such a small budget for you, a lot of times they'll use link spammers and link farms and other ways of quickly building up a bunch of links in a software robotic way rather than a manual credible way that would be more natural. And so that would hurt you tremendously because there are no shortcuts with Google. Maybe short term you can get a pop, but long term they're always going to be updating their algorithms to find people that are trying to take easy street.
Yep. And so I'm glad you just brought up the word relevancy just a minute ago. It's a vague term. I know some people use it, but a lot of people don't even know what that means. So explain what relevancy means is when you're talking about SEO and Facebook blogs and articles and pictures that we put on Facebook on the internet.
Sure. So one of the best ways to explain it is it's how much of a match you are. So one of our key strategies, like for you, I just checked your report, you're on the first page of Google more than 170 times. What that means is...
I didn't do all of that myself.
Well, you certainly help. You're very active on social media. We're very happy to have your assistance and keeping all those up there. But what that means is for 170 plus keywords, like if you typed in flat roof repair, Shelby, Michigan, or some of the bigger cities around you like Muskegon, you're showing up for flat roof repair, you're showing up for metal roof repair, metal roof replacement, just all the different ones that we focus on in the commercial realm to rank you to the top. And not all of the ones that we target will get you there. Our strategy is to find battlefields that aren't overrun. And what I mean by that is particularly for listeners down in Dallas, Texas, or other really competitive areas, there might be 1,000 roofers around you all wanting to do this same house. The person inside their house doing this online search. Why should you be at the top? Out of all those roofers, why should you be in the top 3?
Yep.
And one of the ways to make sure you are is by not going for something like roofing contractor Dallas, Texas. That's really a losing game for everyone but the SEO firms because you have to keep spending more money. Going back to the battlefield analogy, usually who brings the most guns wins. There is a strategy component to it. Going back to putting too much gas on the fire, it can be a bad thing. However, if you were to find suburbs and other areas around Dallas, in the Dallas Metroplex area, and go with specific keywords, like let's just use flat roof repair. When we want to be highly relevant to bump to the top of the list, we're going to do flat roof repair and then the city name. So if someone's looking for flat roof repair in their area, they're going to type in flat roof repair and that city's name. And then you have a very high chance of coming up because you'll be one of the only roofers in the area with that highly specific page.
Yep. Okay. Well, thanks. That's a great explanation. I think that really helped out a lot of people to understand, the relevancy. You can't just have a few keywords, like you said, flat roofing or, roofing Dallas, Texas, although you may want them included, but those aren't the ones that are going to really bring you a lot of value. So moving on to the next one, like when we're talking about SEO, I see a lot of guys, they ask me, like, I want to do SEO, but how soon will I see results? Roofers, they're antsy. They want to see results soon, but it's really more about the long game than the short game, right? Like, how long should I wait or expect to see results before I decide that it's a winning or losing thing?
Yeah. So the first thing I would do, even before starting, is making sure that you're committed. And the best way to get committed is looking at the results that they've done for others. Obviously, a trusted reference goes a long way, but if you don't have that mutual connection, make sure they show you at least 20 examples of customers that are ranking well. Search through, like we always have an Excel spreadsheet that shows where on the first page you're listed. If it's a 5, then that means you're halfway down. Sometimes you're in number 1 and number 2 positions, so we'll have like 1, 2. Shoot, now I forget your question.
It's like, how long should I wait to see
Oh, right.
results to make a decision whether this was a good campaign or not? But you did mention, asking the marketer that you're, interviewing or looking to go with, asking them for results from other clients. Is there particular charts or graphs or reports that they should be asking for by name?
Yeah, I think the most important one is how many keywords are you actually on the first page? And then you need to look at if those keywords matter. For instance, I was talking about flat roof repair. Most people don't know this, but it gets 4 times more searches than commercial roofing contractor, commercial roofing company. It's the number 1 keyword. So you want to make sure that they know which keywords to target, and they're not going after something like, say, TPO repair, where, it shows up on the charts. There are people searching for it, but it's not worth going after. So if you get at the top of Google for TPO roof repair or something very specific, nobody's searching for it, it doesn't really matter.
And that's important. That's really why it's important to go with somebody that knows roofing or knows commercial roofing. This podcast is about commercial roofing, and not just a national brand that does retail stores and sneakers and car dealerships and happens to do roofing. Because am I right? They probably don't know the best keywords and stuff to use.
Yeah, and there's different ways they can do their research, but a lot of them won't because it takes too much time. And that's the reason why we decided right off the bat, most people don't know this, but Top Roof Marketing is a spinoff of the first marketing company, the Global Precision Group. And we still have that first marketing company. It just doesn't do any of our commercial roofing clients anymore.
Okay.
So by working with a lot of roofers across the country, not only are we highly incentivized to do that research because we just have to do it, technically once, and everybody benefits, versus, in your example, having to do hours and hours of research for one company, and they might not be even spending enough to make it worth it. But then on top of that, we're finding out all the time what's getting the most traffic from which keywords. So we're not just basing our strategies off of, say, Google Keyword Planner, which is where everybody starts to find out how many searches there are per month. But going back to your original question on how long you should stick at it, it used to be about 3 months before actual calls started trickling in. Now it's more like 6. It's a lot more competitive, and the different search engines are also a lot more reluctant to put you up there. It's not just being relevant, it's being popular. It's making sure that you have a good track record of keeping your website virus free. There's there's over 100 different factors that come into play.
What about consistency?
Yeah. Yeah, and consistency is very important too. But after 3 months, you should start seeing some keywords on the first page. They should be tracking it. And so if you're not seeing any progress at all after 3 months, you should pull the plug.
Yeah.
But if you're not getting any calls in your first 3 months, but you are starting to rank in different areas, you should continue. It's not until about 6 months that you should start getting upset if you're not getting any calls, because obviously the wrong keywords are being targeted.
Yep. So, boy, that was all great information. Thank you for sharing that. I know it's really helped me out with what I'm doing. When I started using SEO. Of course, I was looking to see results rather quick too. And I asked Jonathan to ask, like, how do you know when it's working? And really, I think that comes from my end. And I'll answer the question too, but from a marketer's point of view, how do you know when it's working? How do you know when a contractor is actually seeing success from paying money for SEO?
Yeah, so when it comes to marketing, there's the real life side and there's more of like the reports and analytics side. Usually you focus on the analytics first and then the results come. So for us, we're going to be looking at website traffic. We manually search for the blogs of content that we're creating. So going back to like that flat roof repair example in a smaller city around the Dallas Metroplex, we would do many different types of content. We've got about 7 keywords or so that have a lot of traffic, and then we expand beyond that as we continue to build a presence. As you add more pages, it makes more things easier to rank, and then you can start going after Dallas and some bigger cities. But that's down the road.
Yep. So on a contractor's end, for me, I find the way that I know that it's working is by tracking and asking people when they call. So for people that are listening to this, if you don't ask your customers on your first contact with them, where did you hear about us from? I think you're really dropping the ball. So whether your call comes into your cell phone or it comes into your office or whatever, that first touch you have with the customer should go something like, can I get your name, please? And then before you ask anything else, before you even ask address or phone number or anything like that, I would ask, so Mrs. Smith, how did you hear about us? Or where did you find us? Something like that. And we have about 15 slots that we can plug into for our lead source, whether it's yard signs or canvassing or door knocking or cold call or newspaper, truck signs, billboard. And one of those is, it says SEO Google website. We have it all in one category because usually people end up going through one of those, all three of those anyways, when they're looking for us. So we noticed just in the last month or two, couple months, that because we've been pouring more emphasis onto this, that we've had a lot more people come through that are saying, well, I found you on Google or I found your website. And so that's how we know it's working. That's how we know that we made a good investment in SEO. Now, it's frustrating, and I'll ask Jonathan to chime in here in a minute, but I think it's kind of frustrating for a contractor to count a marketer out or be discouraged with a marketer or be upset with them and just cancel because they say it's not working, when actually it probably is working. You're just not asking the right questions, and the client is saying, well, I'm calling, I need a job and done, and you don't ask where you heard about them from, because they're not just going to volunteer that information. They're not going to say, hey, I'm looking for a roof. My name is Bob Smith and I found you on Google. I mean, they're not going to say that all the time. And so you have to have a way to find out, hey, I'm checking this one off. He's seen my yard saying, hey, I'm checking this one off. This guy found me on Google. And that way, it's working. And I actually use a CRM. And so I can go back probably once a week. I just check to see, my pie chart where my leads are coming in. And, you don't want to weigh too heavy on having all your eggs in one basket. So we actually have a nice diversified portfolio of where our leads coming in. And a big chunk of that is Google and SEO. And so that leaves me a warm, fuzzy feeling that my SEO is well spent.
Right.
So,
one thing I'd like to add to that too, there's a big component to any kind of marketing strategy, and that is, what is your cost per acquisition?
Yeah.
That doesn't mean cost per lead. I mean, cost per lead is good to look at, but what is the total cost if I spent, say, $12,000 in my SEO this year, and I got 24 leads? That brings it down to, I believe, $500 a lead. I don't got a calculator.
Yep.
I guess I can edit this out later if I'm wrong. But what I'm trying to point out is, when you get a website lead, it's really, really, really hot. And the reason why is because, unlike, say, telemarketing or some other outbound strategies, this is an inbound strategy. So they are choosing you. They're already doing their research.
They made
already
the first move.
Yes, they made the first move, and you know that they have a problem and they have the money. They wouldn't be reaching out if those two things weren't already, taken care of. So when you're doing SEO, if you're doing it the right way, where you're constantly adding more blogs, I mean, you're past 100 blogs on your site, so you've got a 100+ page website right now, which gives you a lot of favor in Google. But by the end of this year, you'll have even more pages, and that cost per acquisition will keep going down and down and down, because you're going to get more and more leads. And that 24 out of the year example is just a quick math example, but ideally we would like to see you getting about 4 to 8 a month after you've been with the program for a year. You've got lots of keywords in all the right places, and the way that we keep this snowball building is by putting what I call battery tethers on the keywords that are sticking. So that way you're kind of maintaining those positions. If someone wants to spend a whole lot of money and outrank you, that's fine, because you got all these other battlefields conquered. So for us, it's always about bringing that cost per acquisition as low as possible.
Right. Awesome. So I'm going to wrap it up here. I know we're coming up on 25 minutes or so, and but I just thought this would be a great subject to talk about, since a lot of people are starting to dabble with SEO. But I get a lot of guys ask me, how do I get started, and who should I look at? And I don't even know the right questions to ask. So hopefully this gave you some good questions to ask. And I think the days are gone where, I used to think word of mouth and, natural leads and previous clients, that'll keep my boat afloat and, keep business coming in. But I find that even your best friends, even people that are right in my hometown, they've never heard of me, or maybe they, another SEO company or another roofing company using SEO, and it's getting in front of them. You're missing out on, sometimes you just miss out on a customer because you're not using this tool that's available to you. So, I'm going to wrap it up. This is Jonathan with Top Roof Marketing. And if you could just leave people's contact information here. Like I said I think I said this at the beginning, that Jonathan isn't the biggest. In fact, we worked with a much bigger company for a little while, and we decided not to use their services because they didn't have that personal touch. I really like the personal touch that your team brings. And if you're looking for a marketer, make sure that they are going to have the time to meet your personal needs, and they're not just this big giant that has all these bells and whistles but can't give you the personal attention. So that's why I appreciate Jonathan. If you don't mind me saying this, you're very particular about what clients you bring on board, because that the ones that you do have, that you take care of them 100%. So if you don't mind leaving your information, how people could reach out to you if they had a question.
Yeah, no problem at all. We've got our 800 number, 800-795-2187. You can reach me directly at 614-465-6025. But feel free to go to our website, toproofmarketing.com. You can see tons of reviews on Facebook and some other places. And we'd love to earn another great one working with some of your listeners.
Okay. Well, as you can see, it's a beautiful day here in Michigan, and hope you guys are having a great day. And this has been the Rocket Roof Show. See you on the next one.
You've been listening to the Rocket Roof Show podcast. Be sure to subscribe through your favorite podcasting platforms such as iTunes or Google Play to get the latest episodes as they are launched. For more, please follow us on social media or visit our website at rocketroofshow.com. We look forward to joining you here again soon at the next launch.